Thanks for watching. I'm Margot Kinberg, and this is In the Spotlight, a closer look at a crime novel. Some crime novels are as much literary as they are crime novels. In fact, it's sometimes a little bit hard to tell the difference. There's a very blurred line there. And they can take all sorts of shapes and forms. Let's take a closer look at a novel like that today and turn the spotlight on Will Ferguson's The Finder. The story begins on the remote Japanese island of Heiteruma, where Police Inspector Atsushimada has been alerted that a foreigner staying on the island may be in trouble. At the very least, he's missing. Shimada goes looking for the foreigner and is soon drawn into a much wider mystery surrounding a man known as the Finder. He is highly skilled at finding objects that were believed to have been lost forever and then reselling them for a very high price. The objects themselves aren't worth much per se. They're worth an awful lot, though, because they were lost and have been found. And anyone who recognizes the finder or can place him at a particular place pays the ultimate price. No one knows who the finder is. He doesn't have a distinctive appearance, and he does have the gift of fading into the shadows, so to speak, so no one really remembers what he looks like. Interpol agent Gladys Gaddy Rhodes is tasked with finding him, and she is determined to do just that. She's hard-edged and doesn't care much what other people think. So this hunt consumes her. When she learns that a burned-out travel writer named Thomas Rafferty was at Heiteruma, she begins to do some background research on him. He could, after all, be the very man that she's tracking. Meanwhile, Rafferty is in Christchurch doing a travel story on the area. As it happens, he's there on the day of the terrible 2011 earthquake. He survives the earthquake, as does his sometimes friends with benefits, photojournalist Tamsin Green. He doesn't know it at first, but he also gets drawn into the search for the finder. So does a young girl named Catherine, whose scientist father owns a herd of sheep. As the story goes on, these characters' stories begin to intersect in places as the finder moves in and out of the story. Gaddy follows all of the clues she can find to catch the finder. And Rafferty has his own quest, which also puts him in the finder's path. For the most part, we see the finder through the eyes of the characters who encounter him, and we follow along as Gaddy pursues him. So what are the elements in this story? What moves it along, and what do we see in it? In a sense, this story is a thriller. There's danger, killing, action, some adventure, and real suspense. There's also some of the suspension of disbelief that most people generally associate with a thriller. But the book is more than that. As the story goes on, we get to know Gaddy, Rafferty, Tamsin, Inspector Shimada, and Catherine. Each of them has a personal history, and their stories are connected, loosely at times, by the finder and their encounters with him. The characters aren't all sympathetic. Readers who prefer likable characters will notice this. But we get to know them well, and we see that they all have in common a search or a loss of some kind. In that sense, that delving into character and the exploration of human experience, this is also a literary novel. For example, there are philosophical discussions on the value of objects and what really has meaning, and the writing style is literary as well. The story is told third-person past tense, so we follow along the character's journey in that way. This novel is not what you'd call a happy, upbeat story. In the main, these are not really settled, contented characters involved in a mystery where everything is at one point put right again. Readers who like lighter novels with more positive characters will notice this. That said, though, there is wit in the story, and there are some wryly funny comments and scenes. The finder draws together the lives of a disparate group of people, all of whom are, if you will, missing something. Woven through these lives is a small, nameless man who finds things and who understands that sometimes the most mundane things can have a very high value. This has been In the Spotlight. I'm Margot Kinberg. Thanks for watching.